Most parents have no idea they're doing this one thing that's quietly limiting their child's brain. It happens every single day in almost every home, and it looks completely harmless. In fact, most parents think it's fine, even good. But scientists have discovered something shocking, and by the end of this video, you're going to see your child's daily routine in a completely different way. And more importantly, you're going to learn 5 tiny habits that can literally change the way your child's brain grows. These aren't expensive programs or complicated routines. They're small, almost invisible shifts that pack a massive neurological punch. Stay with me because what you hear next might surprise you. Let's start by understanding something most people overlook. The brain of a child is not a smaller version of an adult brain. It is a living, growing, exploding network of connections. By age 5, a child's brain reaches nearly 90% of its adult size. That's remarkable, but size doesn't tell the whole story. What matters even more is the quality of the connections being built during this critical window. Neuroscientists call this period a sensitive phase, where the brain is almost magnetically drawn to input. Every experience, every smell, every sound, every conversation, it all leaves a mark. So the habits you build around your child right now are literally wiring their future. Now, before we get to the 5 habits, let me tell you about something called synaptic pruning. It sounds technical, but it's actually one of the most fascinating things your child's brain does. Up until around age 10, the brain overproduces neural connections, billions of them. Then, like a gardener trimming overgrown plants, the brain starts cutting away the connections that aren't being used. The connections that get used regularly, those get stronger, faster, and more efficient. The ones that are ignored, they fade. This means what your child does repeatedly right now isn't just habit, it's brain architecture. Every repeated action shapes which connections survive and which ones disappear forever. That should make you pause. Because it raises an important question: what are the daily habits in your child's life actually building? And here is where the surprise comes in. The habits that most powerfully shape brain development are not the flashy ones. They're not learning apps, educational TV, or expensive tutoring. The most powerful brain-building habits are tiny, quiet, and almost invisible. And most parents are already close to doing them, they just need one small adjustment. Let's walk through all 5 of them right now. Habit number 1 is something called serve and return conversation. Here's what it looks like in real life. Your child points at a dog and says, "Doggy." You look at the dog, smile, and say, "Yes." "That's a big brown dog, isn't he friendly?" That's it. That simple exchange is a neurological event. Harvard's Center on the Developing Child has studied this pattern for years and found that these back-and-forth interactions are one of the strongest predictors of healthy brain development. Every time a child makes a gesture, a sound, or a word, and an adult responds warmly and consistently, a neural pathway gets reinforced. It's like laying down railroad tracks in the brain. The more tracks you lay, the faster information can travel later in life. The key word here is consistency. It doesn't have to be long conversations. It just has to happen regularly, dozens of times a day. Put down the phone when your child tries to show you something. Get on their level, respond with warmth. That's habit 1. Habit number 2 will surprise you because it sounds like the opposite of learning. It's unstructured free play. Not guided play, not educational games, not screen time with a learning show. Raw, messy, child-led free play. When a child stacks blocks and knocks them down, or pretends a stick is a spaceship, or makes up imaginary friends, their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, planning, and emotional regulation, is lighting up like a firework. A landmark study published in the journal Pediatrics found that children who engaged in more unstructured play showed significantly better executive function later in childhood. Executive function includes things like attention, self-control, and problem-solving skills that are more predictive of academic success than IQ. The brain develops these skills not through instruction but through play. So the next time your child wants to dig in the dirt or build a fort out of couch cushions, don't redirect them. That is brain building at its finest. Habit number 3 is one that almost every family does wrong, and fixing it takes just seconds. It's the bedtime routine, specifically the consistency of it. Sleep is not passive for a child's brain. During sleep, the brain does something called memory consolidation. It replays and stores everything learned during the day, clears out metabolic waste, and resets emotional circuits. The National Sleep Foundation recommends that children between ages 3 and 5 get 10 to 13 hours of sleep per night. But it's not just about duration, it's about regularity. Going to bed at the same time each night synchronizes the brain's internal clock, which directly affects how well the prefrontal cortex functions the next day. When bedtime is inconsistent, children show higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone which actually damages the hippocampus over time, the region responsible for memory and learning. The tiny habit here is simple. Set a consistent bedtime and protect it like it's medicine, because for a growing brain it basically is. Habit number 4 involves something called rich language exposure, and this is where a lot of parents unknowingly fall short without realizing it. It's not just about talking to your child, it's about how you talk to them. Research from the University of Kansas tracked the language environments of children from different backgrounds and discovered that by age 3, some children had heard 30 million more words than others. But even more striking was that it wasn't just the number of words that mattered, it was the complexity. Children who were exposed to longer sentences, diverse vocabulary, and explanations of why things happen showed significantly stronger brain development in language and cognitive areas. The habit here is to narrate your world. When you're cooking, say, "I'm cutting the carrot because we need small pieces so it cooks evenly." When you're driving, explain what a traffic light does and why it exists. Use words just slightly above what your child currently understands. That stretch, that reaching for new meaning, is what fires up neural growth. You don't need a curriculum, you just need to talk more richly. Habit number 5 is perhaps the most counterintuitive of all. In fact, when most parents first hear this, they resist it. This habit is allowing your child to experience manageable frustration. Not constant stress, not overwhelming difficulty, but small appropriate challenges where they have to struggle a little before succeeding. There's a concept in neuroscience called desirable difficulty, and it refers to the idea that the brain grows most powerfully not when things are easy, but when they're just hard enough. When a child struggles to tie their shoes, put together a puzzle, or figure out how to open a container, and then finally succeeds, the brain releases dopamine and the prefrontal cortex receives a powerful signal to reinforce the neural circuits used in that problem-solving process. This is why jumping in too quickly to help your child actually weakens their brain development. Next time your child is struggling with something safe and age-appropriate, wait. Resist the urge to jump in immediately. Let them try, struggle, and eventually find a way. That moment of breakthrough is one of the most powerful things a child's brain can experience. Now let's bring all 5 habits together, because here's the beautiful thing: none of them cost money. None of them require specialized training. They don't take hours out of your day. They require attention, consistency, and a willingness to see your child's everyday moments as opportunities for brain growth. Serve and return conversations during breakfast, free play after school, a consistent bedtime every night, rich, explanatory language throughout the day, and the patience to let your child struggle just enough to succeed. These 5 habits work because they align with how the brain is biologically designed to grow. They feed the brain's natural hunger for connection, challenge, language, rest, and exploration. So now, here's the thing I told you about at the very beginning of this video. The one thing most parents do every single day that quietly limits their child's brain. It's the habit of filling every quiet moment with a screen. Not because screens are evil, but because every minute a child spends passively watching content is a minute their brain isn't doing serve and return conversations, isn't playing freely, isn't struggling through a problem, isn't hearing rich language, and isn't winding down for sleep. The research is clear. The American Academy of Pediatrics and dozens of independent studies have found that passive screen time in early childhood is associated with reduced language development, shorter attention spans, and lower executive function scores. Not because of what's on the screen, but because of what's being crowded out. Every screen minute replaces a brain-building minute. That's the quiet cost. This doesn't mean never, it means intentionally. It means protecting those tiny, invisible habits that actually wire your child's brain for success. Because the window is real, the biology is real, and the habits you build right now will shape a mind that will last a lifetime. If this video shifted the way you see your child's daily routine, consider sharing it with another parent who might need to hear it. And if you want to go deeper on any of these habits, the science, the research, the practical implementation, let us know in the comments. Your child's brain is growing right now, today, in every moment you share with them. Make those moments count.